I have encountered many people in my work as a therapist that have self-sabotage, and it really, that's what it does. It's sabotage for yourself and for other people around you, your relationships, and it's just so unnecessary. And it's so crucial that you become aware of if and how you self-sabotage, so that you can start to stop with it and instead facing what it is you fear and be less scared of it instead of controlling it by sabotaging. So I hope that with this video you will get more knowledge about what it is and different examples of self-sabotage and why do we self-sabotage, and also, of course, how can you work with stopping the self-sabotage and instead promoting well-being to you and to others, self-love and love to others. Okay, so let's see. How can you describe self-sabotage then? Probably many of you have some experience with it, but it can look in very different ways. So examples of self-sabotage can be the most obvious ones, that you have heavy drinking problems, or that you're a drug addict, or that you cut yourself, you hurt yourself. But also less evident ones can be that you start conflicts very often, that you detach from relationships, you shut down. You can become critical in relationship, very harsh, very judgmental. It's also self-sabotage. That you escape whenever there are uncomfortable moments. You run away. It's also self-sabotage. Or all the things that you do to your body, that you overeat, you binge eat, or you starve, or you exercise too much or too disciplined, or you don't exercise at all, you don't take care of your body, you live like you don't clean, you don't take care of your home. That's also self-sabotage. So you can look in very more direct or more subtle ways. And what it is different kinds of behaviors or thoughts or reactions or emotions you invest in that has the purpose of stopping a positive process for you. It has the purpose of controlling a process in your life that's going well. It has the process of destroying something that is good. So it has the process of destroying you, or destroy also then for someone else that likes you. Destroying your body, or your emotional body, destroying your life, or destroying your life with someone else. So that's the main purpose of it, to destroy a process that's going well. Main reason why you sabotage is mainly protection. Again, it's a stupid form of protection because it really makes everything worse. So we're going to look into like, why do you still engage in it as a protection? But I want to highlight that even though it's like a really destructive force, to really understand that it's also, I think it's doing something good for you. I've talked about it many times before. These, defense mechanisms. So why do we have them? Well, it thinks that it's protecting you, and it was developed in a time in your life when you didn't have any other good options. So, and then you develop the ones that you have, and sometimes that can be to destroy and destruct, because that gives you a sense of control. So that's often a purpose of sabotage, that it gives you a sense of control. So instead of someone else sabotaging for you or making you feel pain, You are the one in the driving seat making yourself feel pain. So you self-sabotage. So that's also why we self-sabotage. It's a way to protect us from pain. Well, actually to protect us from love, since love maybe once triggered also pain for us. So actually the source is love, and love is pain. So we want to protect us from pain. So we instead organize a situation where we inflict the pain in us, and that's self-sabotage. So instead of letting someone else sabotage for us, we do it ourselves so that we are in control. So different examples of this can be then when we are engaging in a relationship with someone. We are getting close. Like the first phase of a relationship is often everything feels good, and we, might be blinded by being in love and idealization, and, everything is just flowers and fun, and we are full of hormones and substances, I was supposed to say, but, natural substances in ourselves. But then when that first phase start to linger out and we come more into the daily life, then and when it's really time to face, is there actually a true connection here, then more mixed and true feelings from the past start to trigger, and more behaviors than defense mechanisms from that we created from the past starts to trigger. So one typical form of sabotage in relationships is that when they start to be closer and in connection, then you start to detach from the connection, or you start to behave in a way that pushes the other person away. You stop answering texts or calls, and you are passive in meetings. You don't take initiative to meet, or you answer very vaguely that you don't know if you can meet, and you start to withdraw yourself, the opposite of a connection. And the reason you do it is because you want to protect yourself from the pain that you think that the connection will bring. So far the other person hasn't really done anything that give you pain, but instead you do it to yourself. You are the one who detach, so that you are one step ahead, instead of not being ready when the other person in your mind, as you think of would happen, the other person starts to detach or hurt you in any way, and then abandons you. So instead you are in control, so you abandon first. And then the other person, your soon to be, or your new, the potential partner, of course, has reactions to that, and also starts to withdraw, maybe, especially if it's also in maybe a self-sabotaging person or insecure person or whatever, starts to react to you with your withdrawal, to also withdraw. And then you see, she started, or he started to withdraw. I was right. I mean, there are no connection here. And so I have the right, I will continue to withdraw. Or potentially, if you are more of ambivalent in your attachment style, actually when the other person withdraw as a reaction to your withdrawal, maybe then you will start to chase again. That's another story where you go back and forth. But anyway, self-sabotage is a way to be in control, do what you fear the most, repeat your trauma instead of it being repeated to you. So withdraw and abandon if that was your trauma. Or self-sabotage can also be in relationships that you start conflicts. You are very judgmental, or you criticize, maybe because of you had experiences of that happening to you. So if you are the one who does it unprovoked, then you feel control, and then you don't feel like a victim and being the one who is hurt when someone is angry or starting a conflict with you, which might be your experience. So it protects you from that pain, and also the trigger to the sabotage of starting a fight is again connection. is again the potential hope of love or connection or of a closer, intimate relationship. And then when everything is calm, then you feel insecure and you get scared of, now is the time when I will be disappointed and hurt. So then you regain control by starting a fight. So those might be self-sabotage in relationships, and where you then can say, I was right. See, it's just conflicts. This relationship doesn't work, so it's just conflict. So see, we have gone further away from each other. See, it doesn't work. That's what I said. But then you sort of forget, well, this is you repeating your trauma instead of doing something else, so that you can actually expose yourself to what you are most scared of, which is connection, and expose yourself what you cannot handle, which is connection and love and calmness and positive feelings and trust in, trust in love, basically. That is what you cannot tolerate, so you do the opposite. But if you have self-sabotage, and more has to do with yourself. So for example, eating disorders, there's also a way to, then it's not as evident that it's something you're destroying, that you are repeating a trauma. It's more like a reaction, a behavior you do that is to control something, to regain control. So if you're binge eating or if you start starving yourself, it's often, again, triggered by some emotional reaction. So maybe something really good happened. That's actually often a very common trigger to some sort of self-destructive behavior, like hurting yourself, cutting yourself, or binge eating or starving. Something good happened, and you cannot process it. You get overwhelmed by emotions. You don't know how to deal with this good thing happen. So again, you need to go back to feeling miserable. You need to punish yourself for the good feeling you had. So then you hurt yourself, or you hurt your body, you fill it, binge eating, or you starve it. So that's a way to cut off the good feeling and to punish yourself, because a part in you doesn't think you're allowed to have good feelings. A part in you thinks it protects you very well from having good feelings, which is, one can understand that protection, but it's also, it's also very sad. If you have self-sabotage as behavior, it's often that you have experienced love and then pain from love, associated with love. Like love has hurt you in some way. You had a connection, you had an attachment, you had love, but what was supposed to be love and security and attachment instead turned into abandonment or abuse even, or separation, or then it is associated to pain to you. So it's sort of a faulty, conclusion or program, and it's sort of sad that the thing that actually is supposed to be acquainted to, good things, to positive feelings, in your mind might be acquainted to something bad. And the what is bad, like depression, isolation, being alone, instead might be acquainted to something good for you. Like that's safety, and that's when I'm protected, that's familiar, that's home, and love and connection and bliss and positive feelings has become acquainted to something that you are wanting to avoid, something that is potentially painful and scary. So that's acquainted to, oh, that's bad. So that's sort of a faulty programming that can happen like in our early years. If you have some sort of experience of how your attachment figure or your closest environment that's supposed to be your safety, that's supposed to look after you, and it's supposed to be your, say, loving attachment, instead do something to you so that you experience rupture, you experience hurt, you experience unsafe feelings. So then safety, love, attachment becomes acquainted to something dangerous that you're avoiding. So that's how self-sabotage can be developed. And so either in relationships or something you do to punish yourself So you sort of punish yourself for having positive feelings as a way to protect yourself from staying in the positive feelings. Or also you might have interpreted that if you have positive feelings, someone else will not. So how does that work? For example, if you as a child is happy and carefree, and then you come home or you're with the parent who is depressed and maybe even get angry with you and provoked at your happiness, and then you sort of feel bad for your parent, and you feel that you are bad because you are making your parent maybe even more depressed, and then so you feel bad, and then you want to punish yourself for feeling good. So that's also a common pattern that is, really destructive. That if you feel guilty for having positive feelings, or for feeling joyful, or for being open and in connection, and every time you do, that mechanism, that impulse to also punish yourself simultaneously come. So you indulge in some sort of self-sabotage where you hurt your body, or you become really harsh with your body, or you drink, or you take drugs, and as a punishment really for something you did. What did you do? Well, first of all, you existed. That might be, something you interpreted as hurtful for a parent, your existence. Maybe you have a parent who sort of blames you. Oh, you made my life miserable when you were born. You shouldn't be born, blah, blah, blah. So then you learn, okay, my pure existence is something wrong, and I can't take away my existence. But if I don't kill myself, if I live, then I should be punished for existing. So it's like you're punishing yourself for existing. Or when you're happy, your parent becomes aware of how she or he is not happy, and like maybe saying to you in a blaming way, oh, what do you have to be happy for? Like, nothing is good in this world, blah, blah, blah. And then you feel guilty. Oh, I made my parent angry or hurt or depressed, so I'm bad. Why am I bad? Because I had happy feelings. Now I must punish myself because of my happy feelings. So then I hurt myself in some way, either directly with the behaviors I said before, or indirectly, with making myself alone, or neglecting myself somehow. So that's self-sabotage. It's source in self-hatred, which has become triggered by love, your experience of love, that you didn't deserve it, or that you are bad when you love. And it has often a source in destructive guilt, like that you feel bad because of your existence, you feel bad because of your happiness, or your urges to love, or your fantasies, or your enthusiasm, your drives and positive feelings. All of that, you have had an experience and hurt someone else, so then you must be punished. So that's really like a prison. That's like a moment, catch 22 to be caught in. Because then every time you start to feel better in your life, or every time something's good happening, like you get a promotion. Oh, by the way, that's also a very common trigger for sabotage, success. That's a very, very common trigger for sabotage. Every time you start to actually achieve something, and when you start to feel successful, then another part in you wants to punish you, or wants to control you, wants to push you down, so that you feel unsuccessful again. So then you sabotage your success. You do something so that you feel unsuccessful again. And that can have the same reasons as the ones I said before, but it can also have a reason that you unconsciously don't want to surpass a parent. So for example, if you had a parent that wasn't successful, or if you're becoming as successful in your life, or more successful or more happy as your parent, then it's this part in you that you don't want to surpass your parents. You don't want to separate from your parents. You don't want to leave your parent, and you want to stay very loyal with being under your parent, or with being depressed like your parent. So that's like really powerful mechanism triggered by success, as often has to do with your relationship with your parent and how your parent support your growth or not. It has to do with your fear of believing in yourself, and in so doing leaving your parent who might not believe in you. So that's a complicated situation. So in order to stop your self-sabotage, you first need to be aware, obviously, of that you are doing it and how. And that can be tricky, because often it's very sneaky, The self-sabotage can be very, very sneaky. It can, maybe you all of a sudden find yourself in a fight, or all of a sudden you find yourself that you're binge eating after you had a really good day, or all of a sudden you feel super depressed and wanting to isolate after you had a really great connection with someone, or suddenly you're drunk when you just had like the best achievement at your workplace, like, and then you ask, like, how did this happen? I was just good, and now I'm doing this to my body, and tomorrow I will feel miserable. So it's you need to be aware of your enemy. Like, the enemy is very smart, it's very sneaky, and it's just very very seductive and manipulative. Like, it's really invades you when you don't know, when you're not prepared. So how do you become prepared? Well, you start to see the patterns. You start to become aware of the patterns. And actually, you might need help by another person to start to see the patterns, maybe in therapy, or you do it yourself. You start to see, okay, whenever I have a good time with someone, or whenever I have a good connection with someone, whenever I have a good day at work, whenever someone is giving me a compliment, whenever I feel good about myself, whenever I feel good about what I did, then what? Okay? So think about all these situations, and think about what happens next. What happens the day after, or the hours after, or the week after I felt good about something I did, or after I felt happy or had a connection? What happens right after that? How do I normally feel, or what happens in my life? What activities do I engage in after I had a moment of connection and love, or positive feelings? That's your first question to ask, and to look over your life, so that you can see a pattern. And you might also get help by writing it down. So every time you have a good moment, write down the day, and then see what happens. Because this is to gain control over this mechanism that is actually controlling your life, and making you not being able to shift to a more positive mindset from this low, destructive fear, a negative-based mindset. So be aware, see the patterns, and see the triggers. And so when you are very aware, when you know exactly your triggers, and don't get fooled. Like, don't think, oh, maybe this time I will manage. Maybe this time I won't engage in the self-sabotage. This time is different. No. This is, if you have self-sabotage, it will find a way. You can talk about, it's a shadow work. It's a shadow side if you want, but it's like and that's often how patients describes it, actually. Like, I don't know, it's finding me, whatever I do. It's just looking me up, and it's all of a sudden it's there, this dark force that wanting to do me, to harm me. So, it's also in a way, a funny way to look at it, that it's really, a force that is really smart and wanting to hunt you down, but your task is to be smarter. And how do you become smarter? First, you become aware of it. Just like you would with an actual enemy, I suppose. That's what you do, isn't it? When you have an enemy, that you want to, if you want to revenge or something, then you first, you understand how this person lives and all its routines and blah, blah, blah. That's, that's just the same thing. You start to see the pattern. And so when you see the pattern, then you are more in control. But this takes time, and this takes, just because you see the pattern, it's still going to happen. But eventually, you will become more and more skilled to catch it when it comes. How? To become really present and to know, to not be fooled, to know, okay, now the self-sabotage comes. What do you do then? Well, either you actually have the capacity to stop it, to say no to the self-sabotage impulse, to not engage in it, and to either engage in something that's good for you, but most important, I think, is to see what happens when you don't do the sabotaging impulse, which is mostly to stay in the moment and then face the feelings that you are scared of, the vulnerable feelings that you are scared of. So, for example, after you've been on a really positive event or you had a great achievement and you come home and you feel the urge to sabotage, then if you have the discipline to not do it and you sit with the emotions that comes, it might be grief, it might be anger, it might be pain, and it might also be just really positive feelings that you might struggle with allowing yourself to have. But that way of dealing with it might be very hard. That's, I don't know, it's very hard to have that discipline. So I think one of the most efficient ways to deal with it is actually to be open with the self-sabotaging behavior with someone else. Just like in a AA meeting, anonymous alcoholics, when they in a group rise up and say, well, hello, I'm an alcoholist. They admit it. The first thing they do is to be honest about the existence of this problem. They say they admit it, and then there are certain kinds of rules, and one is to reach for help, like, okay, to engage a network in helping the person to not drink. And it's the same thing here. That, for example, if you in a relationship, you have figured out, okay, so every time we come closer in a relationship, I'm gonna engage in disconnecting behaviors, I'm gonna withdraw. This is what you say to the potential partner. Okay, so you are vulnerable, first of all, which is the opposite of being sabotaging. So you're saying, so now we're getting closer in this relationship, and that's fine. But because of past experiences in my life, this is usually what makes me scared. And then when I get scared of the closeness, the increasing closeness, I will probably engage in different kinds of withdrawal and sort of try to sabotage the connection. This is not what I want, but it's a part of me that wants it. And I'm telling it right now, first of all, because that's very hard, and I want for us both to know that. And I also would like to see if we can, if we can help me with this somehow. So when you're saying that in the relationship, you're being honest with your problem and you're inviting someone else to know about it. And you're thirdly also inviting someone else to, see if he or she can help you help yourself with it. Then you've already taken a step to stop the self-sabotage, because then you're not sabotaging. Then you're honest with it. Then it's not your secret, and then you are in control. Then you already named, okay, there is a monster here and I'm scared of it, but maybe we can help each other. You can help me with this monster, instead of not naming the monster and then not being ready when it comes, or being alone with it when it comes. And that way of dealing with the self-sabotage goes for all of the other self-sabotage behaviors as well. To admit you have it, be accountable, and then if possible, invite someone else to help you with it. Then you are already have started to not sabotage. And then I think that act will open up for more ideas to how you can help yourself to not sabotage. It doesn't happen from one day to another that you will stop. It's obviously a process, and maybe you will need more help in therapy, or more techniques, and what behaviors you should engage in instead when the urge comes. But the first step is this: to name it, to admit it, and to ask for help, so you're not alone. I hope this video about self-sabotage, what it is and why you have it and how to deal with it, gave you some insight and maybe some inspiration and help to help yourself if you have problems with that, or help others with it. And you're very welcome to comment if you have questions about it, or if it's something around self-sabotage you want me to explore further down into, or if you just want to comment, hello or thank you or whatever, so that this videos can spread more, so that I can continue recording these videos for you and sharing my knowledge. And again, if you feel like you have more severe problems, you really need help and in therapy, and you really need help talking with someone, then I'm here for you. It's just to look at my website, so you can email me and use my services, and we'll make an appointment. But thank you for today in this video. See you.